Namaste, my name is Jyoti Daya and welcome to Learning with JD. In today's session, we are going to talk about enterprise environmental factors, which we often call as EEFs, and organizational process assets, which we often call as OPAs. We've seen about this in the previous video, but in today's session, we are going to talk about this in quite detail. Before starting the video, I request you to subscribe to my channel and like and comment and share on the videos that I've uploaded previously. You can check out on my channel. So what are we waiting for? Let's begin. So let me give you a perspective of what we are going to cover today. The topic for today's session is going to be the factors that influence our project. So just to remind you, we are on Learning with JD and we are about to start our session. So let's begin. All right, so yes, we are going to talk about both the key important factors that influence our project. That is the enterprise environmental factors, we often call it as EEFs, and organizational process assets, we call it OPAs. We saw EEFs and OPAs in, at a higher level in the previous video, which talked about the environment in which the project operates. Now we are going to look at both these factors in detail. So this is going to be important because in the coming up videos, you are going to hear these two terminologies, EEFs and OPAs often. So the fundamentals should be clear at this point of time itself, right? All right, so we know what we are going to cover today, the concept of OPAs and EEFs. All right, so let's just revise what we saw in the previous video. The project environments. So what do we call as environment? The factors that influence our project. The environment is the surrounding in which our projects operate. That is very important for our success of the project. Project exists and operate in the environment that may have influence on them. And we have often seen that the environment in which the project operates is extremely important for the success or the failure of the project. As we said, there can be two types of influences. Influence can be favorable. There will be certain environment, certain people, certain way of working which will be very favorable for your project. Whereas there will be some influences which will not be very favorable. We call it as unfavorable impact on the project. For example, some regulatory changes coming up, some legal changes coming up. So we have to take care of all these influences and work on our project accordingly. And what are these influences? It can be either within the organization or outside the organization. So there are two major categories of influences. One is the one which is being impacted by the entire industry, by the entire ecosystem. We call it as enterprise environmental factors, which are the EEFs, right? And the second one is the OPA. We call it as organizational process assets. Now, this is more to do what is happening within your organization. What are the factors that impact your project that arise from your organization, your portfolio, your program, your project, all that comes into organizational process assets. Let's see all of them. All right. Now, what is enterprise environmental factors? So, EEFs originate from the environment which is outside of the project. It will often be from outside of the enterprise. It is not a part of your organization. EEFs is something which is not under your control. As a project manager, you will not be able to control the effect of EEF which will happen on your project. Now what will you do? You will either work towards it or you will leave it. So it all depends upon the scenario you are in. So from an examination perspective, from the PMP certification perspective, what you need to ensure that you know what is the difference between an EEF and an OPA. What are the factors which comes from outside of your enterprise? What are the factors which are born within your organization? And how are you going to deal it? That is the key thing from your examination perspective. These factors refer to any condition it can be any condition, which are not under the control of the project team. As I said, it's not something which is under the control of a project manager or the team or the sponsor or the program manager or the portfolio manager. Now, whatever their influence is going to be, whatever they get constraints, the way they direct your project, you will not have an impact on them. For example, there are changes in some regulatory guidelines. There is some change in the pricing. There's some change in infrastructure cost. There's some change in the policy at an enterprise level, something that you do not have an impact on, right? For example, labor price changing. You don't have an impact on that. You have to pay your labor the way it is fixed for an enterprise, right? So these are all the factors that come under enterprise environmental factors, which are EEFs. EEFs may have an impact at enterprise level, portfolio, program, or even your project. It may have an impact on all the three factors, as an organization as a whole, as a portfolio, as a program, and at a project level. All right. One set of such factors are internal organizational culture, the structure, the governance. All the governance factors and the governance framework comes under the EEF. All right. There are some examples. For example, the vision, the mission, is it under your control? No. The mission of the organization, the vision of the organization, the value, benefits, cultural norms, the hierarchy in which you work, the authority relationship, you as a project manager or a project team do not have the control over all these factors. Yeah. Now, what do you know as organization process assets? Now, what do you understand when you hear the word asset? Asset is something that you have saved. Asset is something that is it's an opportunity for you. Assets are internal to the enterprise. So process assets are nothing but lessons learned, documents, templates, standards, everything which is related to your organization and saved somewhere is known as an organizational process assets. You have to use organization process assets whenever you are working on your project. Any document that you need, any plan you want to make, any policy that you're working on, or any procedure that you want to refer from, everything is something which is a part of organizational process assets, which are OPAs. All right. So there are two important factors, EAFs, which are not a part of your project. It is often outside of the enterprise. A project manager does not have control over the EEFs. It can be a vision, mission, values of an organization, the hierarchy in which you work, anything which is outside of the project team. And organization process assets is internal to the enterprise. Right? They may arise from enterprise itself, a portfolio, a program, another project, or a combination of all these. That's all about organization process assets. We've already seen this, that OPAs are the plans, processes, policies, procedures, all of them are a part of your organization process assets. Organization process assets influence the management of the project. You will have an influence, you have an influence on the project. These are the factors which can work towards the favorable conditions of your project. Some examples are your change control procedures. Now, in case if your planning is over and your project gets into an execution phase, you will not just get up and say that I want to change something. That's not possible. Every organization has a framework. Every organization works within the framework of those sets and processes which are set up. So in case if you want to change something while the project is going on, you have to follow that. Where are you going to seek help from? It is going to be from the organization process assets. All the templates or whatever documentation that you create, we are going to see all of them while we study PMP. That there are certain templates, information from the previous projects which are often known as lessons learned, that is also a part of the organization process assets. So all these factors comprise and collaborate together and create the process assets of your organization, that you can refer again and again while you're working on your project. All right, so guys, this is it from my end today. I think these are the two important factors that you have to ensure and keep in mind from your examination perspective. And throughout the time when you're going to study for your PMP, you're going to refer to these two terminologies. You're going to see EEFs and OPS throughout. EEFs are going to be available for all the planning groups. So we know that, we have to refer about it. You need to know. EEFs are outside of the enterprise. OPAs are within the enterprise. A project manager can use the OPAs for referring to the procedures, plans, everything that they want to know. And EEFs are something which is not under the control of the project manager, but they have to take that into consideration while preparing their project plan. And hence this entire video over that, because it's an important concept and we may not touch upon this concept again and again while we are referring to all the process and the knowledge areas. Okay. I would request you to go back and view the previous videos that have been uploaded on my channel. That gives you an introduction on PMP. It typically tells you about what PMBOK is all about and what are the significance of PMBOK. And we have also spoken about the environment in which the projects operate. So these are two key important aspects for creating your fundamentals clear and for moving forward. The next video is going to talk about the role of the project managers, and we will see in detail where we are going to start working on the project management plan. To always get a notification of all the videos that I keep on uploading, do subscribe to my channel. Also like the video that I've just uploaded, share with your friends, put a comment in case if you have any doubts, and I'll reply back to you as soon as possible. So till then, keep studying and all the best.